Mr. Syed Rahim. Sir is a Senior Director, Customer Success and Consulting, Middle East and Africa for Manthan Analytics India. And previously, he has been Head of Marketing Stores at SPAR India, formerly known as Max Hypermarket. Sir has been working in retail with more than 13 years of experience in marketing, business analytics, business intelligence, loyalty, business operations, new store opening, strategy, and managing profit and loss. At present, he is serving retail analytics pioneer Manthan and delivered one of a kind analytics solution like Store Manager app, auto inventory, Rico engine, assortment optimization models, and so on. He also has the expertise of working and excelling with India's most reputed and premier retail organizations like Reliance Retail, Mahindra Retail, and Shoppers Stop. The core principle of his functioning is to leverage IQ plus EQ to deliver the EQ, that is customer quotient, by constantly engaging education and entertaining the customers in their day-to-day lives. He has been pivotal in creating few of the best customer engagement initiatives like Season of Joy, Supermom, Friendship Camp, Make a Friend at SPAR India. Few of key accolades in his kitty are: he made the loyalty program Landmark Rewards as one of the most successful loyalty programs among the hypermarkets format in India. He ideated, conceptualized, and drove world-class campaigns like Season of Joy, which was qualified among one of the top 5 best campaigns in the World Retail Congress Award. He won silver in Lighthouse London as Best Campaigner of the Year. He also built analytics and consumer insight functions right from scratch to support rapidly growing and dynamically changing business landscape. He introduced new and innovative models like consumption gap, shopping mission with category role, and micro-segmented category penetration models as few of the key initiatives in the advanced analytics practice. Prior to this, he has worked with SPAR India head marketing stores with comprising of brand media alliance, revenue analytics, loyalty and consumer insights, digital and social media, gift cards and services of SPAR India, a function which thinks, innovate, create, power, intelligence and insights to drive seamlessly customer experience. Without further delay, I would request Syed Rahim sir. Sir, please begin your deliberation and provide your experience to our students and our participants. Sir, you need to unmute your mic.
Yeah. Yeah. Viresh, thank you so much, Viresh, for the warm introduction. So without any further delay, let me jump on to my presentation. I hope you are able to see my screen now. Okay. All right. So what are we discussing today, right? First of all, thank you so much for all the prior speakers who have covered largely in terms of how analytics is helping various organization level and various different business unit level initiatives. And today I'm going to talk about how the future of analytics is looking in retail. Right. This is in line with how do business analytics driving digitization, the road ahead. However, before we jump on to knowing the future, it's very, very important to know what's the past, right? If you look at it that way, how many of you know what has been the analytics age, right? So analytics age is sort of a very, very a key thing. I mean, all of us evolved right from a Stone Age, and similarly, analytics also has evolved right from a Stone Age, right? There are multiple facets or the phases of analytics. The reason why I'm saying this is it's important to know the core of how did we evolve and relating to what we are today and how it's going to further evolve going forward. So Stone Age, what was in Stone Age? I'm sure all of you remember earlier the whole business and analysis and the intelligence used to happen on one tool, which is Excel, right? That was more on bringing in the data visibility and the control in terms of how do we leverage these insights, which is coming out at a very basic level and ensure that we use this data to drive some of the initiatives in the business. From there, we moved on to Bronze Age. Bronze Age basically brought in more of infrastructure like building data warehouses, how do we manage the data operations, which brought in more of structure, more of speed, more of agility to how the data was and the way analytics was completely built in. Then came in the Iron Age, where everybody started thinking, now what? I mean, your data is available in the data warehouse. There is a good data warehouse. How do we use this data in the execution and how do we excel, right? That is when the automation age, I would call it as, came in slowly, started evolving, saying that to what extent can analytics become the automated version of giving recommendation or insight. That is where the evolution of machine learning and artificial intelligence started. Then came in the modern age, right? In retail, as and when the AI and ML started evolving, it was very critical. How do we use this information? There is tons of consumer information, tons of transaction information, which is sitting in the huge data warehouses, right? I mean, you name the data warehouse, most of the most advanced data warehouses are there with the largest of the retail chains. But how do we leverage the data to ensure the customer engagement happens was the critical point. That is where the whole age of modernity today exists, right? That takes us to the next question. What next? What is the future, right? Future could be anything. What next after modern, right? So which is what we're going to sort of look at and go through in a quick session by me. Before we jump on to that, I would like to give you some sense around how is the analytics maturity, within the retail organization. As you must be aware, the retail organization operates with multiple business functions. It could be merchandising, it could be marketing, finance, operations, which is stores, inventory management, procurement, human resources, and so on and so forth. But two critical units, which is become the core essential part of the retail organization, which was not the case. This data, what you're seeing is, maybe a couple of years back. But today, if you look at it, the equation or the metrics have completely changed. Today, the customer insights and customer management has become the core functions of a retail organization. Because what in the modern age we have learned is it's not about having data. It's not about ensuring that you do a lot of analytics. It's all about doing that analytics. How do we leverage that analytics to drive customer insights? At the same time, manage the whole customer to grow his or her lifetime value with a brand, right? So if you look at it presently, this whole metrics would have got changed, and customer insights becomes one of the core functions which use a lot of predictive analytics. So now, why predictive analytics? Why investigative analytics? Why basic analytics? Right? Today we talk about AI, we talk about RPA, we are talking about a lot of stuff. But what we essentially forget is that the evolution of all this started from no analytics to basic reporting to analytics to investigative to predictive. But what percentage of utility today, which is happening presently in the retail organizations? Yes, the predictability of the analytics is more utilized in the merchandising functions, more in the marketing functions, more in the customer management, and definitely supply chain, right? The visibility for you guys here is very important because this will help you think of, if you are an enthusiast who want to get into a retail organization, where would you fit with the kind of a background of learning analytics over a couple of years, next couple of years, and understanding what function fits you the best is what is the visibility which drives. However, the core of the whole analytics piece within the retail organization still sits with customer analytics, customer management. Then, of course, spanning out the width of merchandising, supply chain, marketing, HR, and multiple other, business functions, right? Is it okay to just have, the function, right, and the adaptability or the usability of these analytics? How do we leverage? What are the organizational capabilities which ideally should exist in an organization or in a company, which will enable the usage of the whole analytics piece, right? That starts off with a very, very basic thing. If you see this survey which has happened with the with most of the large corporations in retail across the globe, with the CIOs and CTOs and CEOs and CMOs, they have very clearly said the utility of the analytics is there only when you have a clear business strategy, right? And business strategy is no more about just saying I'm going to drive this top line, I'm going to drive bottom line. It's more beyond that, because customer has become the core of whatever you do today. You have to think about the customer, you have to know the customer, right? Without which it becomes very, very difficult to carve out a business strategy today. Unlike before, like clearly defining a business strategy was a lot of thought, which is a lot of roundtable conferences, it's a lot of intelligence coming into the picture. But the data, which was the critical part in terms of saying, how your decision making can be more informed decision making, which is influenced by the data, was somewhere missing in the clear business strategy. However, today with the help of analytics, that becomes a core to clearly define the business strategy. Now we all must be asking, okay, fine, how analytics is sort of redefining the strategy in the retail organization, right? Why is it important? Today, the strategy has moved from know your customer to learn about your customer, right? Knowing your customer is pretty easy. I mean, there is a lot of data, there is a lot of analytics, which is learning and so on and so forth. But learning about your customer, identifying that path to purchase, identifying those path to purchase ideations or the mechanisms of, how a customer is going to grow with me, how is the customer going to stay with me, how do I retain the customer, and so on and so forth, will only come by learning that customer every day, right? Learning about a segment of customers. I think Kapil in his earlier session spoke about segmentation. Amit spoke about a lot of insights about how marketing analytics or the customer analytics is evolving with a lot of advanced analytics algorithms or segmentation or a churn or a propensity and so on and so forth. But why is all this there, right? It is all there, to learn about the customer. So once you learn about the customer, your business strategies become more linear, more focused, more, devised towards bringing that customer delight. It's about maintaining the whole life cycle. How do you use today analytics with, ML, AI, RPA coming into the play, with the utility across the various business functions? The only single motto every retailer today, focuses or falls back on is, how do I acquire? It's not about earlier, like you use ATL media or BTL media or any other visual merchandising techniques in the front end and acquire the customer. And then what? I mean, we used to, with the pace I have seen in the organizations I've worked with in my consulting engagement, as well as, in the organizations I have myself built analytics portfolios, the faster we acquire, it is the fast, at the pace with which we acquire the customer, with the same pace or the faster pace, we also lose the customer. So today the ball game is totally different. It's beyond how to acquire and making sure the customer retains. That's where the loyalty becomes a core of every CRM activation for the marketing unit today, right? Also, it is about with all of us being exposed to all the apps, all the technology in the world with 5G, doing around about the talks, and we are already on 4G for quite a long time. And, we are used to multiple facets of, applications. We browse, our habits have been transformed from going to a grocery shop and shopping to ordering even milk, most of us online, right? So how do we make sure that we engage? And not only engage, how do we hyper-personalize? It's not the world of personalization in analytics anymore, right? It's all about hyper-personalization in retail, right? How do you get very precise? Imagine a guy getting a recommendation for cigarettes who have never smoked, right? So analytics also can go wrong. So that is where the AI and ML flavors are bringing in that more hyper personalized. This one saying that, it constantly learns what are your preferences, what are your purchase patterns. Not only doing that, but also it reading about what are your behavioral traits which you exhibit either on a social media or a website you're browsing and so on and so forth, and hyper personalize the promotions or campaigns. I mean, a simplest example I could talk about, it's not a very hyper personalized, but more of a recommended personalization is also if you go on Amazon, if you have shopped earlier something, or if you have put something in the cart, there's always associated products which is shown to you, right? How is all this happening is the biggest question. But also what is fascinating is how the retail organizations today, both at the brick and mortar level, I'm going to talk a little bit more about how people are using analytics at brick and mortar stores, but also how are they leveraging the whole piece of analytics on online, web, mobile app, and so on and so forth, right? Today, in the world of analytics, I believe that customer is no black box. There was a time when knowing customer behavior was one of the biggest challenge. Today, with the technology emerging and being at a scale at which anything is possible, customer is no black box. While we know the transactional data, we also have access to the customer behavioral traits basis what customer is doing outside, right? All of us know, but we still are there in terms of using the app. We know that app reads about in the mobile what are we doing. I mean, we are giving access to the app to view our camera, to listen to what we are doing, right? But we never stop using the app. I mean, we are in that era of driving our lifestyle through our digital media. So obviously it's no black box. But what is critical is how do you use that data effectively in terms of managing your customer expectations and bringing in the delight in the customer life. What are the key trends which you are today seeing, right? Customer metrics take focus over any other metrics. It's no longer a game of seeing what is your sales growth, what is your customer, your invoice growth. It's beyond that. We look at in retail, in terms of core, we look at pure customer metrics to measure how is my store growing. There might be stores which is doing fantastically well with a growth of 15-20%. But if you look at how is my customers growing there, it may be totally opposite and reverse, where customers might be degrowing. So we don't focus, we believe in the retail organization that if you are taking care of your customer and your customer metrics, obviously the impact on your top line and bottom line will come automatically, right? So that becomes very, that takes focus over anything else. We have started utilizing dynamic and real-time interactive user experiences. The way we used to look at sales on an SMS has moved to how do we have an app where I can go and use NLP technique to ask an app saying that what is the customer growth in this particular store, right? How many customers are currently in the store? What is the customer, which section customer is sort of purchasing, or what is the maximum density of customer flow in a store, right? So it is just beyond analytics. It's not just doing analytics based on the purchase history anymore. It's about video analytics. You would have heard of how a self checkout Amazon stores are there, which is already operational, right? How people are using video analytics to see whether the customer completely bends down to pick up the product from the lower shelf, or by default, by de facto, customer picks up the product which is arranged in the top shelf. Think about it, right? You go to the grocery store. What is your typical behavior, right? There might be a chili powder which is kept at the lowest of the shelf bottom, but you would, easily go there and then pick it up and move. But there might be product which is right in front of you, but you don't. But video analytics today supports all of this information. It captures and says, how do you do merchandising in a better way? How do you display your product? What products take precedence over what, right? Proximity marketing. It identifies customers in multiple locations in your stores and, sends out communication to drive customer. Let's assume that you walked into a store and there's a corner where customer does not, generally by the default nature of the way store is built, you don't go there, right? So how do you drive that customer there is, using proximity, geolocation based marketing, understanding what is your location, which locality you stay in, how close, how far you stay from the store, basis the analytics, the promotion campaigns can be driven. Beacon analytics. This is what is, the store brick and mortar users even today. You walk inside the store, the beacons, recognize who you are, define the consumer personas, and do a lookalike analysis, and then say that this customer you can. This I use even today in the Middle East and Europe market. I use it for automotive guys, where somebody walks in to a showroom, car showroom. I enable the sales CRM team who is sitting at the back end, saying that this customer has walked in, and then look at this customer has come up with this customer has this particular persona, and what this determines or defines is this customer can or have the potential to buy XYZ, rather than sales CRM going and pitching a Honda City. But the analytics can tell a CRM guy, hey, look, this customer is a potential customer to buy a Honda Civic. Why are you pushing? Not why are you pushing Honda City, but it can potentially say that this customer is most likely to respond to a Honda Civic. So the sales CRM guy can talk about Honda Civic, not Honda City. Similarly, artificial intelligence driving customer lifetime values and engagement. Digital transformation, IoT is a very big thing in the supply chain. I don't know whether you have heard, but Nike's warehouses automatically, by a press of a button, IoT with a combination with RPA, right? If you feed in or if you instruct saying that this is an order which is come, the robot will directly go to that particular way, picks up a right size of the shoe, right design of the shoe, right product, and put it in the cart, and then that moves to the dispatch section, right? It's amazing the way the analytics has taken over today in the retail world, and it's just going to grow. It's just going to grow, so a lot of people ask, right, what is the future of analytics? In retail, of course, I can confidently vouch, and which is what I'm also seeing in many other places. It's you, the student, right, who is learning a lot of techniques. I never learned analytics to the core in my subject area when I passed out from my MBA. But whatever I learned in terms of the skill development. But today the skill development has become a very, very core thing. I mean, when you go for an interview for analytics, they will ask you saying that what is that you have done to improve your skill and analytics in the past 1 year, right? This becomes a core and critical bit of it for you guys to keep upgrading the skill, right? If you ask me how am I a future of analytics in retail, I think one of the speakers beautifully put, however advanced we move in terms of AI, ML, nobody can replace the human mind, right? Because the AI and ML also have come in from by a human mind. So obviously we have created, and we are going to continuously evolve with that, right? So Gen Z, you guys become a critical component of how the future of analytics will look in retail. What are the few of the things, aspirational things, what you could look at as a career? This one, you could potentially become a data analyst, which is definitely needed, which was still there from a lot of time. But today, the role of a data analyst has transformed into a lot evolved, in terms of doing predictive analytics, AI, ML. Data scientist, of course, there's a lot spoken in this during the last 2 hours on this. I'll not emphasize. But yeah, I mean, career opportunities is you grow up to a CXO, become a chief analytics officer or chief consumer insight officer is one of the hot jobs in the world today, right? While everybody says that the skill set is, learning about R, Python, SAP, micro BI, Power BI, and so on and so forth. Yes, these are all very, very important tools to learn. But what is critical for you guys to start learning to apply, and if you're interested in analytics in retail, is you need to develop a skill, critical thinking and problem solving. If you know that, you can build anything. You can ask people to build. There are a lot of data scientists who know fantastically. I mean, in my own team, they know what to build in terms of core. If you give them a problem statement, they'll create magic. But to create that magic, they don't know how to create. What is the subject matter? What is the use case they need to solve? So that comes in from critical thinking and problem solving. That also comes in from business acumen. You need to also understand the businesses you want to go in. If you want to be in retail, start reading about retail, learning about retail from today, right? Which will make you different, which will make you stand out from rest of the guys in the retail when you go for interviews And visualization, I think a few of the speakers spoke about Tableau. Definitely, it's not about what MI model or statistical model which runs at the background, right? It is also important how a business user is consuming, right? Who does not understand what code has been written. It's not about the code. It's how you represent that data in the front end for a user to consume and think and act, right? That becomes a core principle of how analytics is going to shape up whatever you do at the back end with AI ML. And of course, visualization is one of the key component today. How do we make the visualization simple and simple and simple with more actionability and insights, being there. With this, I would like to end my session and thank you so much for patiently listening to me. Thank you so much for all the speakers being there patiently, and thank you so much, Viresh, and the entire campus for inviting me over and giving me this opportunity to talk to the students, because I myself was a student once upon a time, and I love to interact with all of you guys, because I personally love to learn a lot of things from you. All right. I would like to conclude this session by saying invisible threat to the strongest ties. I think there are 372 participants here. Most of them are invisible to me, but I think, with this session, you know who I am and I know who you are. And let's talk whenever you want. Here is my email ID, and you can find me on LinkedIn with the name of Syed Rahim. Yeah, with this, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Stay safe and have a nice evening. Viresh, over to you.
Thank you so much, Rahim, sir. That was indeed a very insightful and very informative session. I'm sure a lot of our students will be benefited with your deliberation. Thank you so much, sir.